Hi logical people, DKV here. At the end of this tutorial, you will be able to do the following. You will be able to set up a Flask server on AWS EC2 Ubuntu machine. That machine can receive a RESTful request and can also send back some response using Nginx as a reverse proxy server. Exciting, right? Also, you will be able to send and receive requests in two ways. I will show you step by step how to create a Python Flask app endpoints using just the server's IP address for internal use, and you can also use the same API server with a named domain. So the named domain API endpoint will look something like this, where you say https myapp.com/register, and register is your endpoint for the API. Here's an example of named domain APIs. So for example, if I go to Paytm developers and I click on payments, it says secure GW stage paytm.in, or for production you use secure GW paytm in, and then you send a request to the following API address. So you will be able to design something like this, or as I said, if it's an internal use, you can also use the IP address of the server. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. At the time of recording this video, the live It's Okay to Be Logical websites look something like this. Right, so there's nothing much going on. I only have one app, which is screen recorder. And if I log out, you'll see nothing much. But if I go to my local host, you will see that I have two apps now. So one is the screen recorder and the second one is speech with AI. And now the problem is that right now the hosted app is a very basic one. It has HTTPS, as you can see, right? The connection is secure. However, in my local host, so in my development environment, I'm enhancing this app for you. For example, go to speech AI and I want to read a PDF document. I need to upload this. Now the problem is that this processing of PDF at the backend needs to be done in Python. So I can go and select a PDF and then I can just upload it. But right now I'll get an error because I do not have a Python API at the backend. And therefore I decided to create this video because I'm sure many of you are on the same boat where you want to host your Flask app so that other people or apps can send requests and receive response from it. So far, again going back, It's Okay to Be Logical channel, you will see that I have already got HTTPS, I have got the basic app up and running. And in case you are not there, here are the two videos that you should watch. So the first video is about how to host your video, and the second one is how to get the HTTPS. So I've done a SSH to my machine. So there are a couple of steps that we need to follow in order to install our Flask app. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to install Python. So let's first do sudo get update so that all our packages are updated. And don't worry, I'm going to put all these commands and everything in the link in the description so that you can go and copy paste. Okay. Add Python library, right? So I'm going to do this sudo app install software properties common. Done. Last but not least, what we will do is we will also add snake PPA. Then what we're going to do, we're going to install Python 3.8. If you want, you can choose a different version. I'm going to stick to 3.8 because that's good enough version for me. If you see something like this, just press OK and press enter basically. Lovely. And now we can say Python 3 -- version. To check which version do we have, it's 3.10. It's also good because I think the Python was already installed on my machine. So all good. So once we have this, we need to create a virtual environment so that we can install dependencies for our app. I'm gonna say sudo apt-get install Python 3 environment like this. Say yes. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a folder to store all our Python packages. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write this command. I'm gonna say Python 3.8, create a virtual environment, and the folder name is env. If you want, you can give any name. So for example, instead of this, you could say my env. But I'm going to stick to env because that's a good enough name for me. If that doesn't work, probably install pip3 like this. We're going to install pipenv. We're going to install a virtual environment for ourselves. So that's already there. And we have already created a virtual environment for ourselves. Now what we're going to do, we're going to activate the virtual environment that we created, right? So we're going to say source. env is the folder that I created, and within the env there's a bin folder and then there's the activate file. I'm going to press enter. I do have env, right? So I'm going to say search /env. I'm going to just go inside and see what's happening. So env bin. Okay, that's interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to activate a virtual environment for ourselves. This is sudo apt-get install python 3 env. Python 3 env is already installed. Okay. Then we're gonna see if we can. I'm gonna say sudo rm -r env like that. I'm gonna delete the folder. And then I'm gonna say please activate a virtual environment. Okay. So that went ahead. Now we're gonna activate the virtual environment. Okay. Now it worked. And whenever you activate your virtual environment, you will get bracket folder name, something like this. So when you see this, that means you are in the virtual environment. Beautiful. So what I'm going to do here is, if I do ls, you see that I have my env folder. This is my web app. These are few files that I created to start and stop the server. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it API like this. Then I'm going to go inside this folder. So there's nothing there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say git init. I'm going to initialize an empty git. Then I'm going to go to my Git repository. So I'm assuming that all your code is already in the GitHub or some sort of a version controlling system. Okay. So I'm going to copy the URL. And then I'm going to say this specific command. I'm going to say git remote add origin. I'm going to paste the link of the repository like this. Okay. So in order to pull data from this repository, I also need to set URL. All right. So I've got my git token. So I'm going to copy paste the whole command again. So it says git remote set URL origin HTTPS. Then comes your git token, right? And then your github.com, and then your repository, and then the repository you want to link to. I'm going to press enter like this. Once that is done, all that is left is running a git pull command. So I'm going to say, so if I do ls, you'll see that there's nothing in this folder. So I'm going to say git pull origin main like this. If main doesn't work, then probably your repository is on the master. We can say master like this. Download it. So if I press ls, you'll see that I've got my folder, I've got my app.py and library. Now I'm going to install a couple of libraries because we need all that, right? So I'm going to say pip install Flask RESTful. Then I'm going to say python.run. Now if you failed, or let's say you forgot to import any of your libraries, it's going to say that, hey, this is missing, that is missing. So make sure that you install everything that you need. So I'm going to go into my pip file. I'm going to install everything that I need. Alright, I have installed everything. So now it's the moment of truth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run Python app.py. So I want to run the app. And there you go. I'm able to run the Flask app successfully running on my local host. Lovely, right? Now, if I open my browser and type this :5000 because my app is running on port 5000, this will not work. The problem is that the port is not enabled from the AWS console. So what we're going to do is we're going to super quickly go to our AWS console. We're going to select our EC2, we're going to click on security and click on security groups like this, and then click on edit inbound rules. Once you do that, click on add rules. Custom TCP is fine, and then you have to select port number 5000 like this. Then you select anywhere, okay? And then you click on save rules. Now once you do that, go and refresh the page. We made the changes, and now I'm going to refresh the page. Seems like I'm still not able to reach it, and that could be because the way we have designed our app.py. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this. I'm going to say vi app.py. What I want to check is on which IP address is my app running. So we want to define the host of our app. So we don't want our app to be running on localhost, right? So I'm going to press I, and I'm going to say host is equals to 0.0.0.0 like this. comma and port, right and quit. Now I'm going to run the app again. Go back and refresh the page, and voila. Now you should see something like this, which also means that you can also see on the console that you received an HTTP request and we sent something as a response. Don't worry that we got 404 error, which is fine because our app, specifically my app, is not designed to handle this address, which is fine. But this gives us the confidence that yes, we are able to reach our Flask app. Okay, so that's step number one. I'm gonna quit my app like this, press Ctrl C, and you're out. Now we are almost there to set up our Flask API. The last step is let GUnicorn handle the starting and stopping of our app, because we don't want to do this command python app.py every time ourselves. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna say if install GUnicorn like this. Now, I just want to point out one thing, that as long as you are in the virtual environment, whenever you install something, everything goes into the virtual environment. Okay, it doesn't matter in which current directory you are. Okay, perfect. So we install GUnicorn. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a WSGI file. So if you remember, if you guys go up, you see that when I ran the Python API, it says do not use this for production, use production WSGI. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to say VI editor wsgi.py like this. I'll press I to go into the insert mode. I'm going to copy paste a command like this. What I'm saying that, hey, from app module import app, and then if name is main, then run the host. Very simple code that we are doing in our app. We're doing it here. Okay, now if I press ls, now I have wsgi.py file which I just created. Okay, lovely. So now we're going to test our app using GUnicorn. So I'm going to say GUnicorn bind 00005000 with this app. Okay, I'm going to run this. The GUnicorn started and it's listening to following port. Now if I go here and refresh, we should get the same error. Nothing has changed. It's just that now we are hosting or starting our app using GUnicorn. Beautiful. So Control C out of it. Last but not least, what we want to do is we actually don't want to say GUnicorn and run. We want system services to run our app. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a new file. We're going to say sudo etc systemmd system, and you can give any name. I'm going to say app. I'm going to say app dot or okay to be logical API dot service like this. Oops. We're going to say sudo vi because we want to create this file, right? I'm going to press I to go to insert mode, and then I'm going to copy paste something, and again I'm going to put everything in the description so you can go and check it out. So I'm going to copy paste something and now I'm going to explain everything. So what I'm saying that give it a description. So this service should have a description. So whenever you run this service, it's going to say GUnicorn instance to serve APIs. Or I could say it's okay to be logical APIs. Network is okay. Then we have service. User is Ubuntu. Group is this. Working directory is where your folder is created. I'm going to show you in a moment where we created. So this is the path where we created the folder. This is the path where our virtual environment is. And eventually, whenever we call this file, we want to call, or let's say execute this particular command. We're going to say GUnicorn. So use GUnicorn and open an API socket with WSGI file that we created like this. Okay. Escape, colon, write and quit, WQ, enter. If I say pwd, you'll see that this is the path where our WSGI resides, right? So if I press ls, you'll see that WSGI is here. If I press cd and press ls, so this is my env folder, and these are the two details that we gave in our file. Okay, beautiful. With that, now we should be able to actually start our GUnicorn services. So how do we do that? Super simple. We're gonna say sudo system control start. What do we want to start? We want to start it's okay to be logical API service like this, and just press enter. And by just running this one command, we are able to run our apps like this. So for time being, it's saying host not found, DNS error, the host name page, blah 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 does not exist, server does not respond. But we are able to reach to this file. So this is beautiful. Control C, and now we're going to stop this service for a moment, and we're going to say sudo system control enable socket to be logical API service. What we are saying is we're enabling this service so that whenever we restart our machine, our service is automatically restarted. What we have done so far is we are able to host our Flask API on a server like this. Now what we want to do is, now we want to return something from the DNS server, right? We want to return something using Nginx. I'm going to install Nginx. I'm going to say sudo apt install Nginx. I already have this up and running, so I've already installed it. Therefore, I'm not going to run this command, but you should do sudo apt install Nginx. So once you do that, we want to return something from Nginx, right? We want to return a response whenever somebody reaches our API server. We want to return something from our Flask app. Okay. What we want to do, we want to create a new file. So we're going to say sudo vi, so to create a new file. Where do we want to create this file? We want to create this file Nginx sites available folder like this, and the name would be whatever you want. So I'm going to say api.conf. Now I'm going to go into the insert mode. I'm going to copy paste the command. Now I'm going to explain it to you what we're doing. We are saying that within Nginx, we're going to listen on port 5000. Whenever a request comes from this following IP address, what we want to do is we want to redirect all of that request to this following API socket. Now, if you remember, this is where we put our Flask API. Okay. All we need to do is we need to make sure that the server name is correct. So I'm going to go back to my browser and I'm going to copy the IP address. Then I'm going to delete this and paste it here. Like this. Escape :wq. Once we do that, what we want to do is we want to make a link so that it is enabled. So we're going to say sudo ln, so link, post the same file. So sites available API conf, and we want to link this to etc Nginx sites enabled like this. When everything is done, what we're going to do is we're going to restart. We're going to restart our Nginx. We're going to say sudo control restart Nginx like this. Seems like I've got an error. What we can do is we can go here and look for details. Let's see if we made a mistake. First, so insert, and we need to put a semicolon. So like this. And then write and q. And then we're going to create the link again. Already exists. So first we're going to remove it. Sudo rm like this, and then we're going to create the link again, and then we're going to restart the server. Now everything worked fine. So I'm going to go here and refresh. And now you see we got a different error. It says bad gateway, which basically means that Nginx is able to receive our request, sure, but seems like our app is not working, therefore it's not able to return anything. Well, we learned that we can restart our services. So we're going to say restart socket to be logical API service like this. Now if I go ahead and refresh and check the status, so this is running. Okay, we'll stop this for a moment, and we're also going to stop Nginx. All right, so I've realized that I was making a small mistake. And I think I have made this in the past as well. So I just Googled it and I figured out that if you see here, it says I'm actually saying this saved my life somewhere in May. And what we need to do basically is, there's a problem with the permissions. All we need to do is we need to run this command. If you're interested, I'm going to share this link with you. What we're doing is basically that we are changing the user of Nginx from www-data to Ubuntu, so that everything is owned by Ubuntu and Nginx is able to access it. Okay. So if I come back, now you can see that this is one of the endpoint of my API, and the message we are getting is that the method is not allowed for the requested URL, which basically means is that this method basically accepts a post method instead of get. So I'm trying to do a get method. Okay. So if your goal is to host a Flask API using an IP address, then this is all you need to do. That's it. That's all you need to do. So you basically go to your, I'm going to restore this. Yeah. All you need to do is, oops, seems like my connection has been dropped. Just a recap, if I do ls, I have this API folder and this environment folder. In the API folder, what we did, if I go here and say API ls, what we did, we created a AWS GIP Python file, then we used GUnicorn to run this app basically. And then with the help of Nginx, we are reverse proxying it. So whenever a request is received by Nginx on this IP address, on this 5000 port, it returns everything based on this API socket. Okay, so far so good. Now, as I said, if your aim is to host a API server using this IP address, your job is done and you're good to go. All right, before moving forward, I want to tell you something very crazy. It's gonna blow your mind. So the video that you're watching on YouTube, there will be a button, something like this, which says I like this. If you click on that button, it's gonna like the video, and that will mean a world to me. You know why? Because this way YouTube will know that this video that you're watching is of good quality and it's gonna deliver something real value. And once you do that, YouTube will understand that YouTube should show this video to other users as well. And I would really appreciate if you can do that. If you're not subscribed yet, please do consider to subscribe to the channel. You can obviously click on this link, this icon here, and you can subscribe to the channel. Last but not least, you can also click on this button. Amazing, right? And you'll get this shareable link. You can share it to the WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you like. And trust me, this is the zero cost effort that you can do to show your love to this channel. And when you do this, it really motivates me to create more such meaningful videos. Okay, last but not least, I would really like you guys to comment on the video so that I can understand what did I miss, or how can I improve my videos even more. Okay, awesome. Coming back, what I wanted to do is I wanted to send a request to HTTPS. So that's very important. HTTPS. It's okay to be logical.com, and then let's say I want to say APIs version 2, and then let's say, I don't know, register, for example. So something like this. I want to create an endpoint like this. For that, what I'm going to do is, as I mentioned in the starting of the video, you need to go and follow this tutorial. You need to follow these two tutorials so that you are up and running with HTTPS and you're able to host your app. Okay. So once you're done with that video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset a couple of things. So I'm going to say basically stop all. I want to stop everything. So it to be logical API service. Okay. First thing first. Then I'm going to copy this command. I'm going to put it in my stop all file so that I don't have to write it manually every time. This, and we're good to go. WQ. Maybe I'm going to also say in the restart, I'm going to put this as well. Insert. And instead of a start, we want to restart. Okay. Restart and start are technically same thing. I just keep it restart. Okay. Perfect. If I go back to my favorite tool, I want to show you something. So whenever a request comes to this Ubuntu, it goes to Nginx, and then Nginx figure out, does it need to be coming from the web app or does it need to be coming from the API? Okay. So right now the request is coming something like this. But now we don't want this. What we want is something like this, something which says something like this. Okay, so this is not now what we want. And then with this IP or with this domain name, we want this to go to Nginx, and then Nginx should figure out does it goes to API or does it go to web app. Okay, so let's do that. Nginx, it's available. The sudo remove conf. Okay, and then I'm gonna say cd dot. Then I'm gonna say cd sites enabled ls. I'm gonna remove API from here as well. So I'm gonna say sudo rm API. All good. Okay. Going back, cd sites available ls. Now we already have a configuration file which is this. I'm gonna open this so that we can see what it looks like. So vi. You should have the file exactly like this if you have followed these two videos. Okay, perfect. So what we are saying here that whenever a request comes to port 80, forward it to HTTPS. So that's all we are saying here. Okay, What this means is that if I go out of this file and then I say sudo ln, okay, I'm gonna say etc Nginx, it's available, it's okay to be logical. This should be linked to etc Nginx sites enabled, okay. And I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna say restart everything. What this restart will do, let's have a look. It will restart my web app, it will restart my Nginx server, and it will restart my API, okay. Perfect. Going back, now if I go to the browser, if I refresh the page, I should be able to see my website. It's okay to be logical.com. Perfect. But the problem is that if I take this and I say port 5000, this will not work, right? So this is not working right now because we are telling our Nginx that whenever you receive a request on port 80, serve my website. But we are not telling anything to the Nginx that whenever you receive a request on port 5000, the Nginx doesn't know what to do, right? And the trick is that we're going to play it a little neatly. We're not going to change our API to port 5000 now. What we're going to do is we're going to do something super sweet. If you scroll down, you will see that we are saying that whenever the request location is nothing, so whenever someone reaches something like this, .com/nothing, we want everyone to be served with this localhost 3000, which is my React app, okay? Now, you're going to love this. I found this trick after really a lot of work. So let's see how we can fix it. What I'm going to say is, if I go here, and I think I've already commented it out, I am saying, oops, it's a read-only file, so I'm going to quit. And first thing, I'll stop everything. Okay. Then I'm going to say sudo, open this file, scroll down. Very smartly, what I'm saying, insert mode, delete. I'm saying, okay, listen to port 80, which is fine, and then do the HTTPS thing, which is also fine. If I go up, so listen to port 80, right? And then it's gonna send everything to HTTPS, which is also good. Then I'm saying that whenever location is nothing, so whenever the root is requesting some data, send it to localhost. But whenever I receive a request with a /pi API address, now I want to return data not from my React or Next.js app. I want to return the data from the Flask API, just like that. I'll say plus W key. Okay, and now I'm going to link this. I'm going to say sudo ln etc Nginx, it's available, it's okay to be logical, web app conf. Maybe I could have a better name, but it's okay. Did I stop everything? Yes. Okay, so sudo remove etc Nginx, it's enabled. We remove this and then we run it. So we link it again, and now I'm going to say restart everything. Okay, now if I go here and I say pi API, this, now you see the same error that we got. Isn't it lovely? So if I go here, so if I say HTTPS, it's okay to be logical, pi API, and then I say, can you give me this resource? Oops, I did it twice. Now it says, let's say the same error, the method is not allowed for this request. But basically we are saying this is the proof that we are serving this data from the Flask API. And of course, when I don't use this route, then everything is served by the Nginx. So if I go back, reset, I can go to different pages, screen recorder, I can go to homepage and much more. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you learned a lot today, right? I think I learned a lot while just explaining it to you. Perfect. So with that setup, all we need to do is, this is my Visual Studio where I'm working right now. All I need to do is I need to go to APIs and send a request to my It's Okay to Be Logical API server and get the response. And once this is finished, what you will be able to see is you will be able to upload a file and you will not see this error anymore, okay? So I think with this video, GKV is signing off, and I hope to see you in the next video. Cheers.